What happens when a rising Hollywood star rewrites a billion-dollar Disney classic and it all backfires? This is the story of Rachel Zegler and the live-action Snow White remake that went from Disney's next blockbuster to one of the most controversial and mocked films in recent memory. A movie that didn't just disappoint fans, it sparked a massive backlash, tanked studio morale, and even played a role in reshaping Disney's leadership. It's a story of ambition, control, and broken trust, and how one film spiraled into chaos. It all began with high expectations. For years, Disney had been printing money by remaking their animated classics. Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, they weren't just box office hits. They were billion-dollar events. These weren't just movies, they were nostalgia-fueled machines with guaranteed audiences. So when Disney announced they were remaking Snow White, the hype was immediate. This was the film that launched the Disney princess era, the one that started the entire Disney legacy in 1937. The stakes? Massive. This wasn't just another remake, it was sacred ground. Then came the casting announcement. Rachel Zegler, fresh off her breakout role in West Side Story, was chosen as the new Snow White. At first, it seemed like a smart pick. She had critical acclaim, a growing fan base, and a modern energy that could breathe new life into the character. Disney wasn't just remaking Snow White, they were rebranding her. Behind the scenes, Disney pushed for a bold new direction. Snow White will be reimagined as a fierce, independent leader. Gone was the dreamy princess waiting for true love's kiss. This Snow White didn't need saving. She didn't even want love. The original story, according to early reports and leaks, it was scrapped. The prince? He was barely there. The iconic dwarfs? Replaced by magical non-human outcasts. The songs cut down or modernized beyond recognition. But the real drama began when Rachel Zegler started doing press. In interviews, fans expected enthusiasm, some nostalgia, maybe some excitement about wearing the iconic dress or paying homage to the first Disney princess. Instead, they got the opposite. Rachel said, "The original Snow White is weird. The prince is a stalker. We didn't do that." This time, that quote lit the internet on fire. She also admitted she'd only watched the original maybe once and said her version of Snow White would be about a woman who doesn't dream about true love. She said this version would be more about leadership, self-respect, and ambition. Some fans applauded the modern take, but the overwhelming response? Outrage! Longtime Disney fans felt betrayed. The film that meant so much to their childhoods was now being dismissed by its own star. Social media exploded. On TikTok, creators reacted in disbelief. On YouTube, entire channels were suddenly dedicated to dissecting every Rachel Zegler interview. Twitter was a war zone. People weren't just criticizing the movie, they were calling out Disney's entire strategy. Here's where things got worse. It turned out Rachel Zegler wasn't just the star. She reportedly had major influence behind the scenes. According to inside sources, she pushed for key changes to the script. She didn't want Snow White to be saved by a prince. She wanted a boss girl character arc. A story about self-discovery, not romance. And Disney, agreed. CEO Bob Iger later confirmed that the film was rewritten to reflect a more modern, our worldview. And Rachel's input played a significant role. In Hollywood, that kind of influence is rare for a rising star to essentially reshape one of Disney's most iconic stories. It was either a bold move or a reckless one. Public opinion began to shift fast. Rachel Zegler went from Hollywood's golden girl to public punching bag. Even people who normally supported progressive storytelling began to ask, why remake Snow White if you hate what made it special in the first place? The backlash grew louder. Petitions were launched. Hashtags trended daily. Memes mocked her. And yet the press tour rolled on. Then came her infamous appearance on The View. Disney was hoping for damage control. Maybe she'd soften her tone, express some appreciation for the original film, or at least clarify her earlier comments. Instead, she doubled down. She called the original version harmful and said young girls shouldn't aspire to love. Stories. The host looked stunned. The audience didn't applaud. Disney's PR team reportedly went into panic mode. After that, Rachel was quietly pulled from several planned appearances. Then came the trailer. Fans were hoping maybe, just maybe, the movie itself would change their minds. It didn't. The dwarfs were gone. The prince was gone. The signature moments, like the magic mirror, the apple, the song Someday My Prince Will Come, were either removed or unrecognizable. Fans asked, who is this movie even for? Wait, the trailer was ratioed online. YouTube videos analyzing every frame racked up millions of views. TikTok was flooded with side-by-side comparisons to the original. Most damning of all, a growing number of viewers said they didn't even recognize it as Snow White. And that was the final nail. When the movie hit theaters, it flopped. Critics were divided, with many saying it was confused, soulless, or preachy. Fans stayed home. Theater chains cut showings within days. Word of mouth was brutal. Financially, it bombed. Emotionally, it stung. Inside Disney, tensions were boiling over. Reports emerged of finger-pointing between departments. Marketing blamed the creative team. The creative team blamed Rachel. Executives blamed Iger for signing off on it all. And soon after, Bob Iger announced he'd be stepping down. Was Snow White the only reason? Of course not. But it became the symbol of a bigger problem. A studio that had lost touch with its audience. That confused rebranding with storytelling. That gave actors too much influence and underestimated fan loyalty. To the source material. And what about Rachel? Her career took a hit. Several roles were quietly paused or recast. Fan sentiment remained divided. She still had defenders, but the damage to her image was undeniable. She went from Disney's future to a cautionary tale. So what really happened here? Did Rachel Zegler sabotage Snow White with her attitude and control? Or was she just the face of a studio making too many wrong moves at once? The truth might be somewhere in the middle. But one thing's clear, this wasn't just a failed remake. It was a warning sign for Disney, for Hollywood, and for every studio that thinks nostalgia alone is enough. Audiences don't mind change, but they want change with respect, not lectures, not mockery, and definitely not a beloved childhood story being rewritten by someone who admits they barely watched it. Snow White wasn't a bold reimagining. It felt like a rejection of what made it timeless. So now we ask you, was Rachel Zegler unfairly blamed? Or did she play a role in one of the biggest PR disasters Disney has ever seen? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe for more celebrity drama breakdowns, and tap the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.